You help ensure that your son and all the victims of gun violence are not forgotten. They didn't die in vain. I've gotten those phone calls too, saying I lost a son, a daughter, a wife. I know what it's like. Designed to reduce gun violence and save lives, and I'm so proud of the tremendous progress we made since then. The year before I came to the presidency, the murder rate was the highest increase on record. Last year, we saw the largest decrease of murder. And those rates are continuing to fall faster than ever. Last year. Don't underestimate what you've done. It's amazing what you've done. You've changed people's minds. You just have to keep going and keep the faith. Remember who we are. We are the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity when we act and do it together.
Biden pushes ban. President Joe Biden recently highlighted his administration's efforts on arm control and renewed his call for an assault arms ban during a speech at Everytown's Armed Safety University conference in Washington, D.C. This event, attended by arm control activists, took place against the backdrop of his son Hunter Biden's recent conviction on 3 felony counts in a federal arm trial in Delaware. Notably, President Biden did not address his son's legal issues during his remarks. Biden commended the activists, particularly young people, for their dedication and efforts in advocating for stricter arm laws. He emphasized the impact of their protests, organizing, voting, running for office, and participating in movements such as March for Our Lives, attributing the progress in arm control to their persistent activism. Biden stated, "Look, folks, you've helped power a movement that is turning this cause into reality, recognizing the critical role of grassroots efforts in driving legislative changes." One of the key points in Biden's speech was the announcement of new FBI data indicating a decrease in overall crime, including violent crime and slaying, in the first quarter of 2024 compared to the same period in the previous year. This data serves as a testament to the effectiveness of the administration's policies and the importance of continued efforts to reduce armed crime. Since taking office, Biden has made armed control a cornerstone of his policy agenda. His administration has implemented several measures aimed at curbing armed crime. These include tightening regulations on ghost arms, untraceable arms often assembled from kits, and enhancing background checks for arm purchasers. Additionally, Biden has supported funding for community crime intervention programs, which are designed to prevent armed crime through local, evidence-based strategies. However, Biden's push for an attack weapons ban remains one of the most contentious aspects of his armed control agenda. Attack weapons, often used in mass shootings, have been a focal point of the armed control debate for years. Proponents of the ban argue that these weapons, designed for rapid-fire and high-capacity mags, have no place in civilian hands. They believe that restricting access to these arms could significantly reduce the number and severity of mass slayings. Opponents, however, argue that an attack weapons ban infringes on Second Amendment rights and that such measures do not effectively address the root causes of armed crime. They contend that focusing on mental health issues, improving law enforcement, and ensuring better enforcement of existing arm laws would be more effective strategies. The debate is further complicated by the political landscape, with strong lobbying from arms rights organizations like the NRA. Despite these challenges, Biden remains steadfast in his commitment to pursuing an attack weapons ban. He has repeatedly called on Congress to pass legislation that would reinstate the ban, which was originally in effect from 1994 to 2004 before expiring. During that period, studies have shown mixed results regarding the ban's impact on reducing armed crime, but supporters argue that its re-implementation could help save lives. Biden's administration has also been proactive in addressing armed trafficking and the proliferation of illegal arms. One of the notable actions taken includes the formation of a multi-agency task force to target armed trafficking corridors and reduce the flow of illegal arms into communities most affected by armed crime. This approach aims to disrupt the supply chain of illegal arms and hold accountable those who contribute to armed crime. Why the ban? President Joe Biden highlighted the significant strides his administration has made in reducing slaying rates and tackling armed crime, emphasizing that these efforts are more than just policy points, they are deeply personal to him. Reflecting on the stark contrast between the highest increase in slaying rates on record before his presidency and the historic decrease last year, Biden noted that these declining trends continue at an unprecedented pace. Biden has long been passionate about addressing armed crime, a commitment rooted in personal tragedy. He shared his empathy for those who have lost loved ones to crime, describing the profound pain that accompanies such loss. He assured the audience that he understood the profound grief of receiving a devastating phone call, likening it to a black hole consuming one's chest. His heartfelt words underscored the emotional toll of armed crime and the courage it takes for survivors and advocates to continue their work. During his speech, Biden outlined several key initiatives his administration has implemented to curb armed crime. One significant change has been the amendment of federal law to classify armed trafficking and straw purchases, where someone buys an arm for someone else who is prohibited from purchasing one, as federal crimes. This legal adjustment aims to stem the flow of illegal arms, a major contributor to armed crime. Another crucial measure has been the enhancement of background checks for armed purchases, particularly for individuals under 21. Biden pointed out that since the new law was enacted, the FBI has blocked over 700 arms sales to individuals under 21 who failed background checks. Additionally, approximately 20,000 previously unlicensed arms dealers are now required to obtain licenses and conduct background checks, thereby closing significant loopholes in the arms sales process. Despite these achievements, Biden acknowledged that the fight against armed crime is far from over. Thousands of innocent lives are lost to armed crime each year, highlighting the ongoing need for comprehensive reform. One of Biden's most persistent and contentious calls is for a renewed ban on attack weapons. This issue has been a cornerstone of his armed control advocacy, including in his State of the Union address. Biden questioned the necessity of high-capacity mags in civilian hands, asserting that no one needs a mag capable of holding 200 shells. Attack weapons, often equipped with such mags, are frequently used in mass slayings, making them a focal point of the armed control debate. Proponents of the ban argue that these weapons are designed for military use and have no place in civilian life. Restricting their availability, they contend, could significantly reduce the frequency and lethality of mass slayings. However, opponents of the ban argue that it infringes on Second Amendment rights and question its effectiveness in reducing overall armed crime. They suggest that addressing mental health issues, enhancing law enforcement, and better enforcing existing laws would be more effective strategies. The debate is deeply polarized, with strong advocacy on both sides. In addition to federal efforts, Biden has emphasized the importance of state and local initiatives in addressing armed crime. He has advocated for the adoption of red flag laws, which allow authorities to temporarily remove arms from individuals deemed a threat to themselves or others. These laws are seen as a preventative measure to stop potential violent acts before they occur. Biden's administration has also prioritized community-based solutions. Investing in community crime intervention programs is a key component of this approach. These programs focus on evidence-based strategies to prevent crime at the local level, addressing the root causes of armed crime through collaboration with community members and organizations. The administration's comprehensive approach to armed control also includes targeting the supply chain of illegal arms. A multi-agency task force has been established to disrupt armed trafficking corridors, aiming to reduce the flow of illegal arms into communities most affected by crime. By holding those who contribute to armed trafficking accountable, the administration seeks to diminish the availability of illegal arms, urging constant arm reform. Then, speaking at an annual conference hosted by Everytown for Armed Safety in Washington, President Joe Biden highlighted his administration's efforts to reduce armed crime. This speech coincided with the second anniversary of significant bipartisan armed safety legislation he signed into law. During his address, Biden urged the audience to maintain hope in the fight against armed crime. He expressed gratitude to armed safety advocates and survivors for transforming their pain into advocacy, stating, "You've helped power a movement." Biden's speech came just hours after his son Hunter Biden was found guilty in a federal court in Delaware on 3 felony charges related to armed possession. Hunter Biden, who has struggled with drug addiction, was convicted of lying on paperwork for purchasing an arm and unlawfully possessing it for 11 days. While Hunter Biden could face up to 25 years in prison, his status as a first-time offender suggests a likely less severe sentence. Notably, President Biden did not address his son's legal issues during his speech. The event was momentarily disrupted by a protester who accused Biden of being complicit in the high demise toll of the Israel-Hamas war. The protester, referring to the conflict that has resulted in 35,000 Palestinian demises since October 7, was quickly drowned out by the crowd and removed. Returning to his prepared remarks, Biden emphasized the importance of the arms safety law enacted in 2022.
No. Look, they care. Innocent children have been lost. Come on now.
Thank you for honoring gun violence survivors.
Especially young people who demanded our nation do better to protect us all, who protested, who organized, who voted. Today is about celebrating you. You're the reason I'm so optimistic about the future of our country, and I mean that. It's the most significant gun legislation in nearly 30 years. We passed it only because you went out and worked like hell to get it done.
The 2022 law allocated $750 million for states to implement red flag laws, which enable courts to temporarily remove arms from individuals deemed a threat to themselves or others. Additionally, the law provided $11 billion for mental health services for schools and families, and it tightened regulations on straw purchases, where someone buys an arm for another person who is prohibited from purchasing one. The legislation also introduced stricter background checks for individuals under 21, requiring a review of juvenile and mental health records. It led to the establishment of the White House Office of Gun Crime Prevention to coordinate efforts to reduce armed crime nationwide. The Justice Department announced that more than 500 individuals had been charged under the provisions of the 2022 Arms Safety Law, targeting illegal trafficking and straw purchasing of arms. The law significantly enhances penalties for these crimes, with sentences of up to 15 years in prison. Attorney General Merrick Garland stated, "Criminals rely on illegal armed traffickers and straw purchasers to obtain the weapons they use to harm our communities." Despite these advancements, Biden acknowledged that much work remains. He called on Congress to ban attack weapons, mandate universal background checks, and require safe storage of arms. Given the current divided Congress, passing new arm-related legislation remains challenging. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.